Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and I am starting a new video series on HTML. And I know the first question that's going to come to your mind is, if we're working with HTML, why do we have to stare at a computer keyboard? Well, first of all, I wanted to show you that this is a split key keyboard. This is what I use to type everything. The reason for that is you can take a look at my hands right here. The angle of your hands is more like what this keyboard is rather than like this. Straight keyboards that work like this. This works a lot better for me. And it will for you too once you get used to it. So really, because of the angle of your hands, you really need a split key more than anything else. Alright, the next reason why I'm going to show you this is because we're going to be working with very specific computer keys. These are keys that are on your keyboard. They are on my keyboard as well, and I thought I'd show you what they are and how they are to be used. Alright, the first thing I'm going to show you down here, this is the control key. This is control key. It says CTRL. It's control. This is the alt key. You see this alt key right here? Now then, when I tell you to hold down the Alt key, what I want you to do is I want you to press it and hold it down. You say, well, you really have to tell people stuff like this? Absolutely. You have no idea how many people I've had to tell this to because they have no clue as to what I'm talking about. Now, let's say I tell you to hold down the Alt key and type the letter F. That's what I want you to do. See what I mean? That's exactly what I want you to do. So, when I tell you to hold down a button and then I want you to type another button, that's what I want you to do. Same thing with control. If I tell you to hold down the control button and press the letter C, you hold down the control button just like I'm doing now, and then you type the letter C. And that's how that works. Okay. One more key you need to know right here. If I tell you to type the backspace key, this is the backspace key right here. You have one on your keyboard as well. You just hit the backspace like that. See? And that's how that works. Now you wouldn't think I'd have to tell people all this stuff, but I do. Alright, if we're going to do these lessons, the first thing we got to do is we got to open up our Documents folder. Now how are we going to open up our Documents folder? Well, first of all, right down here, whether you have Windows 7, whether you have Windows Vista, whether you have Microsoft XP, any one of those, you will have a Start button right here. And when you click the Start button, like this dialog box appears. Now, up here on the upper right here, you're going to see the word Documents. I know you can't really see it that well. Well, I guess you can now. You can see the word Documents. There you are. And you're going to click that. And then your Document folder is going to open up. This is your Documents folder. Now, before we get too far into all of this, there's something I would like for you to do. I would like for you to pause this video and download a computer program called Notepad++. And I'm going to leave a hyperlink down here below in the description so you can click on that and you can download this software. You really need it. It's totally free and you're going to need it for all these projects. So, download it and I will just go ahead and pause the video for a second. I can wait. Okay. Alright, so the next thing we've got to do is, first of all, I got to tell you that anytime you see this yellow symbol right here, see this yellow symbol right here? That is a folder. This is a folder. So is this. So is that. All these down here are just files. You have your text files, you have your docx files, you have your PDF files. I even actually have a Microsoft Excel file, so on and so forth. Those are files. But these yellow things right here, they're folders. And we're going to create a new folder. Now, I want you to pay real close attention to the upper right corner, or the upper left corner. This is the upper left corner right here. The upper left corner of my screen here. I want you to pay real close attention to what's going to go on here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt button. That's the thing you're going to do as well. And you're going to continue holding down that Alt button until I tell you to let it up. Okay, so I want you to hold down the Alt button and do not release it until I tell you to. Hold down the Alt button, press the letter F, W, F. And now you can release the Alt button. And when you do, this appears. Okay? This is going to be our new folder. As you can see, the words new folder are highlighted in blue. We want to get rid of new folder because we want to rename the folder. How do you rename the folder? Well, first of all, because that is highlighted in blue, we're going to type the backspace key. And that now goes away. Now we're going to type in the word, we're going to type in two words. One's an acronym, HTML. We're going to have HTML all in caps. And then we're going to type STUDENT. Okay. Then we're going to hit the Enter key. You don't have to hold it down, you just hit the Enter key. Now with your mouse, I want you to double left click. Okay, you're going to use the left mouse button. You're going to click it twice. And there you go. And it's open. Now you see there's nothing in this folder. And there isn't going to be just yet. But we're going to put stuff in there. And therefore, you've got it open. There's nothing in there right now, but we're going to put stuff in there. Alright, now I told you to download Notepad++. I want you to open up Notepad++. Alright, now that you've got it open, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Settings. See that word Settings up there? I'm going to get this real close so you can see. There's Settings right there. Okay, we're going to click that. And now we're going to click something called Style Configurator. Now, notice this is a sub-menu here. We're going to click Style Configurator. Wow, look at all the options we have. I'm going to tip this down just a little bit so you can see all these wonderful little options. Now I want you to go on the right hand side of this dialog box. This is a dialog box. We're going to go on the right hand side. And what you're going to look for is font size. We're going to change that. We're going to change that to 18. As you can see, now it is 18. Now, what just appeared was what they call a drop-down menu, and we're going to talk about drop-down menus in a little bit. Actually, not actually in this video, but we're going to talk about it in a future video. Now, the next thing I want to mention to you people, while I'm doing all this, is that you're not going to see me in any one of the videos in this particular video series. That's because I want you looking at the computer screen and not looking at me. Okay? Whew. Wow, that's a lot of stuff to say in just one lesson. Now that we got the font size to 18, we're going to click the little red box up here. See the little red box? We're going to click the little red X. That makes that go away. Alright. Now I'm going to show you how to make your very first web page. Why do we make web pages like this? Well, it's for two reasons. Number one, if you do acquire a word processor or a spreadsheet, what they do is when you create the web pages using those, they include something called metadata. And it's actually data that describes other data. Now, I'll get into that a little bit further in a future video. Okay, I'll actually make a video about metadata, and you'll see this for yourself. But when you create with a word processor or a spreadsheet a web page like that, you're just eating up space. I'm not kidding you. And when you try to send your web page up to a server, say you pay $5 a month to have some web server host your web page, it'll eat up your web space like you wouldn't believe. So you really don't want all that extra metadata going along with you. Not to mention the fact that if you don't have high-speed internet, and I do, but still, even if you do have high-speed internet, it takes a while to send all that metadata. You don't want that. You want to get rid of that. There's no need of it. It's just unbelievable garbage that you really don't want to have. Now, the second reason why you want web pages like this, you want to design them in Notepad like this, is because if you can't afford a fancy word processor, a spreadsheet, anything like that, you don't have to. You got this. You can do it just like this, just like I'm going to show you right now. So you don't have to have all that fancy equipment. You can design web pages without it. Good web pages that look good, you can design that without this. So, now that we've got all that out of the way, and if I think of anything else, I'll go ahead and tell you. Now we're going to teach you how to make this HTML. Okay. We are going to use the greater than and less than signs. And these are tags. Okay? This is an HTML tag right there. See that? Now that is a beginning tag. We have beginning tags and ending tags. Why is that so important? Because when you start writing XML to go along with this HTML, XML has to have beginning and ending tags. That's just the way it is. And if you don't learn that habit here, when you start making XML, you'll goof it up and you'll wonder why it doesn't work. Well, we're educating you. Okay, now we're going to go down one more and we're going to type up our ending tag. How do you type up an ending tag? You type the, I believe this is the backslash, if I recall correctly, and then we type in HTML. Just like that. And voila! We have created our very first web page. So it doesn't look like much, and it won't look like much right now. Alright, so now, what's the next step? Now that we've officially created our very first web page, what are we going to do? We're going to hit this file button right up here. See, this is the file button right there. And a submenu is going to appear. We're going to save as. See the save as right there? And then what you're going to do is you're going to type, we'll just type in html.html. Okay? The file extension is the most important part. And I'm going to bring this up just so this is a dialog box here. Okay, and we're going to zoom in just a little bit. Ooh. You didn't know I could zoom in, did ya? Uh-huh, I sure can. And let's go down just a little bit. There you go. Here, let's bring this down just a little bit. Whoa! I know, you're getting dizzy and ditzy right about now, and that's okay. Anyway, that's a better view of it. Now, why is this right here important? Because it tells the computer that this is not an ordinary text file, it's something else. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to save it. And what you're going to do is you're going to save it into documents. Let's see. User. My documents. Okay, you're gonna open up my documents, and as soon as you do, you're gonna see the folder right up here. You'll see that. HTML student. And as soon as you do, you're going to save it. Okay. Now, we're going to shrink this down. Now, to shrink this notepad down, you set a little, well, it's a subtraction sign, basically. You see a subtraction sign? We're going to shrink it down just like that. And you can see that the document folder is open. And we're going to zoom out just a little bit. Now, there is our first document. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to double-click it. And as you can see, it opens up, but nothing happens. Well, that's okay. Nothing was going to happen. Whew. Yeah, that's a lot to tell you. Anyway, you have just created your very first web page. Doesn't look like much, but that's okay. Now, the next question you're going to have for me is, why am I not teaching you HTML5? Well, I'm going to teach you HTML5 later on. But the main reason why I'm not teaching you HTML5 right now is because there are people out there that still own Microsoft XP. They still own Vista. Some of them own Windows 7 without all the updates, which that's not a good thing, but anyway, they do. And here's the problem. They run older web browsers. Now, what is a web browser? This would be your Internet Explorer. This would be your Firefox. This would be your Google Chrome. This would be your Opera from Apple. Those are all web browsers. And the thing is that the older web browsers do not recognize HTML5. That's the problem. So when you create your web pages, you can create them with regular HTML, and then if you know that the people looking at it are running HTML5, you can modify it so that they can look at it as HTML5. And if I recall correctly, there's actually an instruction you can give your HTML web pages that will determine whether the HTML environment is going to be regular HTML or HTML5. And believe me, there's not a whole lot of difference between HTML and HTML5. There's a little bit, but not a whole lot of difference. So, that's one of the biggest reasons why you want to turn to the original HTML and then have extra code that you can use for HTML5 in case their web browser is up to date, which you hope it is. Whew. Again, that's an awful lot of information. You know, I've taught you for 20 minutes. You're all sitting there probably scratching your head going, man, doesn't this guy ever stop babbling? Well, anyway, hopefully you feel a little more educated. I will tell you more in a future video, so I want you to stay tuned.